I was in a hurry where I should not have been in a hurry, and my foot did this on a wooden floor, and the sole of my shoe stuck. And I was going so fast to go tell my husband something that I came out of that shoe, and I hit a door jamb. My head hit right, and I knew immediately something was wrong. I didn't know at the time that my neck was fractured, as bad as it was. And the crazy part was that the fracture was, and you can see it on the x-ray, it's bent like that, right on the brainstem. At any time, it could have just severed it.
She unfortunately had a pretty serious fracture at the upper part of the cervical spine. We numbered that cervical level 1 and cervical level 2. And the challenge with that is it created pretty excruciating neck pain for her, and it really, unfortunately, took over her life and her day-to-day in terms of living, functioning, doing, and then kind of being safe in terms of just doing the things we need to do to live her life. So when she came to us, we sort of knew what the problem was, looking at the CT scan pretty directly, and thankfully we were able to kind of move towards a surgical solution for her.
I knew it was a bad injury and that it could either paralyze me or end my life. And most people thought I would be just depressed and, just crying and sobbing, but I wasn't. It was almost as though God, if I can say that, literally gave me a peace. And I knew that I was going to be okay.
The challenge or the concern with that is when the bone is fractured and it's not in line, is that every time you move, there's a risk that it moves or slides into the spinal cord. So what we do is we help stabilize that, and we do that by placing rods and screws, and then placing different types of bone product to get the bone to fuse or heal so that the spine bones won't move. So from the patient's perspective, that helps with the pain, but from our perspective, sort of from the spine surgeon side, the goal is preventing paralysis. So we try to lock those bones in place so that the fracture will heal.
When Dr. Menger had agreed to do my surgery, I was not scared because I knew I was either going to see his face when I opened my eyes, or I was going to see my son-in-law's face, who had passed away from brain cancer. And I was at peace about it. And I don't think you can have that peace unless you go through something that traumatic. They tell me I'm the miracle, but I'm really not. It's Dr. Menger was. He's the one, I'm just the vessel. He's the one that did the surgery. Dr. Menger in USA did not change my life, it gave it back to me. So I will volunteer as much as I can to give back to what it gave me. And I tell everybody that. I'm alive. And I make up for the things that I can't do now. And the main thing was finding something that would give me some fulfillment. And that was here. Well, I've been here and I never want to leave. The children are resilient. It is amazing. You see kids coming here with their IV poles, carrying all sorts of stuff they have. They just want to come in here and get out of their rooms. And they just want to be a kid again. The parents like talking to me. I'm sure they like talking to the other volunteers too. They want to get it off their chest. They want to talk to you about what they're going through. And a lot of the grandmothers that are raising some of these children. And when they find out what I went through, they're always like, it's funny because they'll say, why are you volunteering here? And I'll say, well, kind of trying to give back to the hospital that saved my life. And so they'll ask me my story. And I just love it.
She's an amazing, person. She's always super optimistic and great and smiling, and it's just awesome to see her, give that back to the USA community. So, I think we look a lot, at our patients, and I really get inspired by them. Right, they go through something that's really serious or potential, really kind of dramatic problem for them, and to see her channel that into something, that helps the community or helps give back specifically to what. The mission of serving the Gulf Coast here is awesome. So just really inspiring to see that.
I see myself doing this to the end of my life. I just do. And one thing Dr. Menger did say, when I went for that appointment before I was volunteering, before I came to volunteer, I wore my uniform. It wasn't my volunteer day. I wanted to see what he would say. Walked in there and he started looking, saw my name tag. He said, what are you doing? And I said, you did this for me, so I'm giving back of myself to help you. And he said, that is the nicest thing. He said, that's more than I could ever ask for. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.